I've never been home this late. I don't have a girlfriend, a car, or close friends, so there is no reason to come home late at night. That night, I was just trying to go home after a long shift when my manager insisted I join the team at a bar to celebrate this month's achievements. Of course, I was forced to go. Blending in was something I was used to, even if I hated it. But just when I thought I could get through the night, something happened. Something that shook me more than any unwanted social obligation ever could. It wasn't my coworkers that left me rattled. It was what came after. Even now, just thinking about it makes my skin crawl. It started the moment I left the bar. The air was cold, the Bronx streets nearly deserted, just the occasional flicker of a dying street lamp casting uneven light along the sidewalk. I wasn't drunk, just a couple of beers, enough to take the edge off. But as I walked toward my apartment, something felt off. At first, I couldn't place it. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, measured, and just far enough behind me that I couldn't see who they belonged to without stopping. I told myself it was nothing. Just someone else heading home, same as me. But when I turned the corner into a side street, the footsteps followed. I picked up my pace, trying to shake the unease creeping up my spine. The Bronx at night wasn't exactly welcoming, but I had walked these streets plenty of times before without issue. Still, something about those footsteps felt different, deliberate. I stole a quick glance over my shoulder, and that's when I saw him. A man in a black hoodie and dark jeans, his face hidden in the shadows, walking at the same steady pace as me. He wasn't close enough to be a threat, not yet, but he wasn't far enough to ignore either. I turned forward again, pretending I hadn't noticed, but my heartbeat was already picking up. Maybe he just happened to be going the same way. Maybe I was overreacting. But when I took another turn, deeper into the empty streets, he was still there. I took another turn, this time onto a narrower street lined with darkened storefronts and flickering streetlights. My breath was steady, but my hands were clenched into fists inside my hoodie pockets. I told myself again that it was just a coincidence, just some guy heading home like me. Plenty of people walk these streets at night. But as I subtly glanced back, my stomach twisted. He had picked up his pace, not running, not even speed walking, but just enough to close the distance between us. The way he moved, deliberate and unhurried, made my skin prickle. I wasn't imagining this. He was following me, and for the first time that night, a terrible thought crossed my mind. I might not make it home. I forced myself to stay calm, quickening my steps without making it obvious that I was running. The alley ahead would lead me to a busier street, where at least a few cabs or late-night workers might still be around. If I could just make it there, I'd be fine. But as I turned the corner, my stomach dropped. The street was empty. No cars, no pedestrians, just the distant hum of the city. Worse, when I glanced at the glass window of a closed shop, I saw his reflection. He had turned the corner right after me, his movements eerily smooth, as if he knew exactly where I was headed. My pulse pounded in my ears. This wasn't random. He was tracking me. I sucked in a sharp breath and ducked behind a massive garbage can, overflowing with the day's waste. The stench was unbearable, but I didn't dare move. My heart hammered in my chest as I crouched low, pressing my back against the cold brick wall. Footsteps echoed down the alley, slow, deliberate. He was close. I clamped a hand over my mouth, forcing myself to stay silent. Then the footsteps stopped. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying he hadn't seen me. For what felt like an eternity, he stood there, just feet away. The air was thick with tension, the only sound my own rapid heartbeat. Then, after a long, agonizing pause, he moved. His steps resumed, fading down the alley until they disappeared completely. I waited a few more seconds before daring to peek out. The street was empty. He was gone. But something told me it wasn't over. I exhaled shakily, stepping out from my hiding spot, my legs unsteady beneath me. The alley was eerily silent now, as if the city itself had momentarily held its breath. I had to get home, fast. Keeping close to the walls, I made my way toward the next block, trying to stick to the shadows while scanning every direction. The thought of that hooded man still being out there sent shivers down my spine. Just as I turned the corner onto a slightly busier street, I spotted something that made my stomach drop. There he was, standing at the far end of the sidewalk near a flickering street lamp, as if he had been waiting for me. His hood was still up, his posture unnervingly still. For a second, I thought maybe he hadn't noticed me. But then, with slow, almost calculated precision, he tilted his head, just enough to let me know that he had. I spotted a police officer leaning against his patrol car beneath a dim streetlight, casually sipping his coffee. Relief surged through me for the first time that night. I had found help. My instinct was to rush over, to tell him everything, but hesitation gripped me. The hooded man was nowhere in sight, yet I could still feel his presence lingering just beyond the shadows. If I tried to explain, what would I even say? That I was being followed by a man who somehow appeared in every alley I turned into? That he never spoke, never moved aggressively, just watched? The officer would probably dismiss it, chalk it up to paranoia or too much to drink. I slowed my pace, debating whether to stop, but then I caught movement in the distance, a shadow shifting at the edge of the alley across the street. My stomach tightened. The hooded man was still there, but I kept walking, trying to act normal, hoping, praying that he wouldn't follow this time. Deep down, I knew better. I quickened my pace, turning down random streets, hoping to lose him in the maze of alleys and dimly lit roads. But no matter which way I went, he was always there, standing at the mouth of an alley, waiting at the opposite end of the sidewalk, lingering just far enough away that I couldn't call it a confrontation. It was like he was playing a game, one where I didn't know the rules but was forced to participate. My breath hitched as I realized the truth. He wasn't just following me, he was guiding me, twisting my path until I no longer recognized the streets around me. The familiar roads leading to my apartment were gone, swallowed by the towering buildings and the suffocating dark. Every time I thought I had found a way out, he would appear again, blocking the path, forcing me to turn back. The deeper I went, the more it felt like I was being funneled into a dead end, as if the Bronx itself was swallowing me whole. Panic clawed at my chest as I realized I had been completely led away from my route home. The streets were quieter now, emptier, the sounds of the city distant and muffled, as if I had stepped into some forgotten corner of the Bronx where no one would hear me scream. I spun around, searching for any sign of an escape, but he was there again, standing at the edge of the alleyway, his hood still drawn low over his face. He wasn't rushing toward me, wasn't making a move, just standing, watching. It was worse than if he had attacked. My legs felt locked in place, my body screaming at me to run but unsure where to go. If I turned back, he would follow. If I ran forward, would he be there too? The realization sent a chill through my bones. He wasn't just following me, he was hurting me. My breath came in short, ragged bursts as I forced myself to move, darting across the empty street toward another alley. I had to break the pattern, had to throw him off somehow. But the deeper I went, the more I realized how unfamiliar this part of the Bronx was to me. The buildings loomed taller, the streetlights fewer and farther between. I turned another corner, hoping, praying, that I'd lose him in the maze of alleys. But as I emerged onto a dimly lit side street, my heart nearly stopped. He was there, standing at the opposite end, as if he had known exactly where I'd go. The sight of him, still motionless, still watching, sent ice through my veins. I had no idea how he was doing it, but it didn't matter. I couldn't afford to let the fear paralyze me. I turned on my heel and sprinted toward the only place I had left, home. I didn't stop running until I reached my apartment building, my chest burning and my legs shaking from exhaustion. I fumbled with my keys, glancing back one last time, half expecting to see the hooded man emerging from the shadows. But the alley was empty, no footsteps, no eerie figure waiting just beyond the glow of the streetlights. I practically threw myself inside, locking the door behind me and double-checking every window. My apartment had never felt safer, the quiet hum of the city beyond my walls now a comforting presence rather than a threat. I collapsed onto the couch, still catching my breath, my hands trembling from the lingering adrenaline. Whoever that man was, whatever he wanted, I had made it home. And for tonight, that was enough.